All right. It'll be fine. It was just a slump. There's your short answer to that thumbnail if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify. They're not imploding. We'll talk. Yanks. Who the fuck they just play? Oh, God. How do I do this every time? Oh, Blue Jays. Yanks, Blue Jays. 4-game set this past weekend in Toronto. Let's talk about it. Episode 694 of the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Let's go. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball. Shaking and baking. Right here on the neophyte.
Trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding.
That is it.
It's over.
Coming up, so Yankee. Don't you regret not coming to the net? Don't you regret not coming to the net?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right. Welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 694 of the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. We are talking New York Yankees, Toronto Blue Jays. We did not recap the Mets 2-game set. We've been busy. I've missed a lot of Yankees episodes this year, a lot more than I'd like, but I promise I'm going to try to get back on track here. We are, though, back doing Yankees Jays. They took 2 and they dropped 2. So overall, I would call it a disappointing series. They left on a good note, probably out of this little slump they were in. So I guess that's the positive, given how the Yankees were playing over the last, 2-3 weeks. Splitting this series, I guess, isn't the worst. But, you did play a last-place team. The Blue Jays are a pretty terrible team. I know they have some potent players in that lineup, but, yeah, you left on a good note. And I do think that this, the second half of June, call it, was a slump. And I've been on that train the entire time. That's not where my concerns lie. My concerns almost never lie on the surface level. Like, it's not about the wins and losses. The Yankees are going to win regular season games. They're going to compete for the division. And we'll talk about all that. All right. But right now, the Yankees stand second place in the division now. So they're no longer in first. They're in second place at 54-32. 7 games up on the wild card spot, which is good. And they're technically 0 games back of first place. But they're behind by percentage points just because of games played. So let's dive into it. And real quick, before we do dive into this, let me just fix this camera real quick. Some in-house stuff to track. Phil Bickford was DFA'd. Yandres Gomez was demoted. And the Yankees called up that guy who nobody can say his name, Massajuski. People call him Juski. And then they also promoted Cousins. Hamilton began throwing. So there's that. Stanton's running on a treadmill. Some of these updates, I don't care. And Clark Schmidt threw 60 feet and is beginning a throwing program. So he's progressing. I think that's it. So the Yankees take 2, drop 2 in this 4-game set in Toronto, Canada. The first game of the series, though, went to the Toronto Blue Jays. 9-2 for the Jays. You have the lefty Carlos Rodon looking to bounce back. Did not. Went up against the righty Jose Berrios, and yeah. It was bad. Carlos Rodon was absolutely horrendous for a third consecutive start. Gave the Yankees no chance once again right out the gate. He finishes the night with 5 innings pitched, 8 runs, 10 hits, a walk, 2 hit batters, struck out 8, allowed 2 home runs, picked up the well-deserved loss. And that's now, again, 3 consecutive starts where Carlos Rodon has been tagged, hammered, shelled. Started against Boston, continued in Atlanta or against Atlanta, and then you get a game 1 of this series against the Blue Jays. I don't know if something's going on mechanically. I don't know if there's something on the scouting report, if he's tipping his pitches. I think maybe he's going to his fastball a little too often. He's throwing it in the zone a little too much, and it's a weird fastball because sometimes you're going to see Rodon chuck that thing 97, 98, and then other times he'll throw it in the middle of the plate at 93, 94, and it's like, well, that's not going to work because he's primarily a 2-pitch pitcher. Mixes in the cutter, the curve, the changeup, but he's primarily a 2-pitch pitcher, fastball slide. And that fastball, if the location's not there, if the command isn't there, well then his off speed's not going to play. You know? And that's a problem. And he's an interesting character, man. I don't know, he's hard to judge. He was having a really solid season up until this month, and now you look at his numbers and they've caught up to him, you know? The strikeout numbers, a lot of the peripheral numbers were saying that it was going to catch up to him. So if you're into the analytics, then you're looking pretty smart right now. But yeah, like when Carlos Rodon's off, it looks bad, and he's, you know, you kind of hear Yankees fans calling him a mental midget and saying he can't handle New York. That was the noise on him last year, and that's kind of coming up again. And you hate to hear that, you hate to see it, but the report, the jury is still out on Rodon for me. I am having a very difficult time trying to figure out who Carlos Rodon is. Who is Carlos Rodon? Is he gonna ever be the guy that we paid him to be? It was looking like that. But when you have 3 starts in a row that are this horrendous, I mean, he's gotten shelled. I forget what the number is, but I know the ERA is around 13 over these 3 starts. It's hard to be like, all right, he'll be fine. Because, like, not many pitchers have a 3-game slump and have it be this bad. So I'm taking it day by day with him. But from the get-go, he was getting tagged. Bottom of the first inning, you had the Bichette base hit, the IKF hit by pitch. Then Vlad Jr. knocks them in with an RBI double, 1-0. Bichette comes in. Turner then, you know, with the dribbler down the first baseline, Turner picks up an RBI, couple of RBIs, I think, because Ben Rice lets the ball roll and it hits the bag, so 2-run score. That was a mistake by him. It's 3-0 Toronto, but then Rodon doesn't pick up his teammates, and he feeds George Springer a meatball down the plate, and Springer, who's having a terrible season, kind of rejuvenated himself with a 3-run bomb, and all of a sudden it's 5-0. Bottom of the second, he hits Kiner Falefa with the pitch again, and then Turner walks with 1 out. Springer comes up to the plate again and knocks another 3-run home run. It's 8-0 Blue Jays before you can even breathe. Now, okay, sure, you can credit Rodon. I've seen people crediting him for settling in and calming down in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings. You know, too late. It's like you already shit the bed. 5th inning, you had the Phil Bickford moment. Phil Bickford is coming out of the bullpen. Rodon's like trying to do the whole Messina thing to Boone. Let me stay in the damn game. Boone listens. tucks his tail between his legs and waddles back into the dugout. And then Phil Bickford's got to go back into the bullpen. Rodon finishes 5 innings. So I guess you can, I don't know, people like that. Courageousness. He was awful. There's nothing positive about that. So when you listen to Aaron Boone, Mr. Positive, in the post game, oh my God, was it abysmal. The shit that he said about this game, I thought we actually saw some positives. I thought things went well. You know, he just got some bad luck. You gave up 8 runs in 2 innings. I mean, what are we saying? It was horrible. And to hear this ballless manager, which is kind of ironic because we get to game 2 and then the Stroman stuff happens, and that's what you want. And we'll talk about that. But yeah, I think your only offense from the Yankees in this game was the Trent Grisham 2-run home run in the middle of the game. But it was already over, and the Yankees would lose 9-2. So that was game 1. Game 2 was more interesting because the Yankees bounced back 16-5, and a lot went down. This was the Marcus Stroman game. We'll talk about what happened. Stroman went up against the left-hander, UC Kikuchi. And Stroman was not great. 4 1/3, 3 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks, a hit batter, struck out 3. Didn't allow a home run, but he was just putting traffic on the bases constantly. 9 base runners in those 4 1/3 innings. Bottom of the 5th comes and he loads the bases with nobody out. Connor Falefa picks up a base hit to Judge. Bichette singles to Soto. And then he hits Horwitz with the pitch. So the bases are loaded. He gets the ground ball. That's when Gleyber doesn't turn the double play. Toronto takes the 2-1 lead. We'll talk more on that in a little bit. Bullpen comes in after Stroman's 4 1/3, and they go 4 2/3, 2 runs. The Yankees are up 7-3. But you had Connor Falefa and Vlad Jr. pick up some home runs in the 6th and 7th off of Michael Tonkin and Luke Weaver. So it's 7-5. But the Yankees would answer back 6th, 7th, and 6th, 8th, and 9th. And the bats won for 16 runs in total on 18 hits, 7 extra base hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. And they were 9 for 12 with runners in scoring position, which is good. They exploded. They exploded offensively. Against Kikuchi, they scored 4 runs in 5 innings, but then they really got to the Toronto bullpen. 12 runs in 4 innings on them. Top of the 4th, J.D. Davis and RBI, 1-0 Yankees, top 6. The Yankees got to Kikuchi in the bullpen. You had Jones and Volpe pick up singles. Soto steps to the plate, rips a no-doubter 3-run home run down the right field line. Kikuchi's done after that. Davis picks up an RBI double against Pearson. Gleyber slugs a 2-run home run that's in response to the Stroman incident. Also his first game back from the benching. It's 7-3 Yankees. Top 8, you get the Verdugo double, DJ doubles, 9-3. Top 9, the Yankees score 7 more runs. Judge, Cabrera, Torres, Verdugo, Trevino, Jones, each of them pick up RBIs in the inning. This was the game where Soto was hurt during the slide. Ended up missing game 3. But this was the Stroman Gleyber thing. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know where. I don't know. I've kind of seen mixed reactions. But I feel like most of the people on my Twitter algorithm were fine with what Stroman did. Maybe that's because of the types of Yankees fans I follow, but I loved it. I'm not going to lie to you. I absolutely loved seeing Marcus Stroman do what he did. That might be very unpopular because I feel like people at best were fine with it, but I loved it. Like, I thought Gleyber should have made that play. It wasn't a horrible non-play, but he was going at his usual speed, which is Gleyber's usual speed is kind of slow. in the field. He doesn't have a great quick arm. I think in a situation like that, you got to kind of uptick it. Turn it up a gear. It's a tie game in the 5th inning. You're playing a divisional game. Be quicker. And he wasn't. And I think just it was kind of just a combination of things that caused Stroman to erupt. You know, just Gleyber's laziness of late. You know, that's kind of become noisy, and the Yankees have been losing of late. You're going 5 consecutive series without a series win, and it's a big spot. Stroman's a very competitive dude who wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's competitive. You know, he is the opposite of Boone. Stroman is going to show testosterone. He's going to yell and scream and show passion. He's not afraid of doing something that might not be politically correct or professional. And I think that's how sports work. I think there are so many people who need to understand how sports work before commenting on this. I think you have participation betas who've probably never played competitive sport in their lives making comments about it, and I think that's insane. I think you understand this 1,000% if you've played sports. You know, people who are hating on Marcus Stroman on this probably just are hating on him because they know who Marcus Stroman is. You know, they know his past. And he's probably been on one of their teams, and they didn't like him. But I knew this would happen. I knew there would be a moment like this. We talked about it in the preseason. We talked about it right after the Yankees signed Stroman. I said there will be a moment this year, whether it's in the Bronx or on the road, where Stroman has some type of incident, you know, for lack of a better word. And there you had it. And I said, we'll see how he responds to it. But I never take those things serious. I think, listen, people are saying he shouldn't have done what he did on the mound. Some people are saying, well, he shouldn't have even done it in the dugout. He should have just waited until they got to the clubhouse. You know, show some fucking intensity, Gleyber. Like, that's, people think it's a bad look. Showing up your teammate in front of cameras. Man, fuck optics. I am the last person to care about optics and to care about how things look. I think the Yankees themselves should only be caring about themselves, not the fans, not the media, not social media. I don't care. Play how you play and fuck what the cameras do. I had no issue with it. And look, good for Gleyber Torres too, because after that, his next at bat, he goes up there, he hits a home run. Stroman's the first one out of the dugout clapping for him. Then Gleyber walks to Judge, kind of gives Judge a little look. Judge being the captain, talking to Stroman, talking to Torres. Like, it's fine. Stroman in the post game, he's kind of spitting the truth. Didn't sugarcoat anything, said it how it was. I thought he should have made the play. I love the honesty. This is why I wanted Stroman here, guys. I wanted him here because he makes people uncomfortable. You're going to have moments like this, and I think those are needed. I think those are very needed. So I not only didn't mind it, I loved seeing Stroman blow up, whether he was in the right or wrong there. I think you need something like that to turn things around. You need a little life. We've had 7 years of Aaron Boone being vanilla as ever. God forbid somebody shows some fucking testosterone here. And Marcus Stroman had to be the one to do it in his first year in pinstripes. Embarrassing if you're Boone. So there's that. And that was game 2. Let's move to game 3. The Yankees won game 2, but they responded with a loss in game 3, which kind of sucked because that could have been like a thing you build on. A 9-3 loss in game 3. You had Nestor Cortez. Feel like they always lose on his games. Went up against Chris Bassett, the right-hander. Yeah, so it sucked to lose after the Stroman game. This was also, once again, a game without Juan Soto. But the Yankee bats were quieted. 3 runs on 8 hits, 3 extra base hits, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts, 1 for 6 in scoring position. You know, Bassett in the first inning was hit by a missile. The Yankees had him on the ropes, it looked like. But he ended up staying in the game, and he pitched well. And he won 5 or 6 innings. Right? Yeah, the Rice base hit. Judge singles off of Bassett's leg or whatever it was, I forget. The Yankees tried to do a double steal. Initially safe. They overturned it. Rice was out at third base. Probably should have stole there. But it was very unfortunate to get Bassett on the ropes like that and then just let him off the fucking hook the rest of the way. He finishes going 6 innings, 1 run, no earned runs. Top 3, you have the Judge intentional walk. That's going to happen when nobody else produces. Verdugo's up after that, and he pops up to end the inning. Top of the 4th, Austin Wells doubles. DJ and Oswaldo come up. They do nothing. Top 5, Judge with an RBI single. So there's that. But that was really it because the Yankees didn't pitch well enough. Nestor Cortez, 4 1/3 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits, a walk, 5 strikeouts, a home run. He was bad. Nibbling a ton. And again, this is a guy where he doesn't throw hard, especially in this game. The fastball looked flat. The velo was even lower than usual. And when you don't have your location and you're throwing a fastball with no command, you're going to get beat like that. And so he was. And Nestor Cortez on the road continues to be a problem. And this is a guy listen, he's having a solid season. Nestor Cortez, he's given the Yankees innings. He's not allowed more than 4 runs yet this season. So he's having a good year. I'm just never going to trust him. He's just not a guy I trust. I don't trust soft-throwing lefties with inconsistent command. I don't know. I don't trust those types of guys. And if you pitch them in a postseason round, God forbid, please have it be at home. Like, it's weird. The splits are very odd. It's been like that since he's been here. Bullpen after Nestor went 3 2/3, gave up 6 runs. So they were awful. Phil Bickford pitched in his final game as a Yankee, thank God, before he was DFA'd. Yeah, Kiner Falefa, Vlad Guerrero Jr. continued to rake in this game. All series, they killed the Yankees. Yankee defense was actually better in this game. Grisham made a nice play in the 3rd inning of the game. He's a really good center fielder. Gleyber Torres made a nice play in the 4th inning, snagged a line drive, turned a double play off it. Got Nestor out of a jam. But that was it for Game 3. The Yankees once again lose 9-3. Before bouncing back in Game 4 with an 8-1 victory. Gerrit Cole making his 3rd start of the season going up against the righty Kevin Gausman. The Yankee bats get to him. They get to the Jays for 8 runs on 12 hits, 6 extra base hits, 5 walks, 11 strikeouts, and they were 5 for 17 with runners in scoring position. Give me 1 sec. Right away, top of the 1st inning, Aaron Judge. 2-run home run, 2-0 Yankees. Top 2nd, DJ LeMahieu RBI single. Juan Soto with a walk with the bases loaded. 4-0. Top 5, DJ an RBI double. Grisham a 2-run double against Cabrera, who comes into the game. It's 7-1 Yankees. Top 6, Ben Rice icing on the cake with an RBI double off the wall. Just misses a home run off Pearson. Makes it 8-1 Yankees. There's your final. Soto goes 1 for 3 in his return. Return to the lineup last minute. Was initially going to be out of the lineup, but he decides to play last minute. Goes 1 for 3, 2 walks, an RBI. Judge 2 for 4, home run, 2 RBIs. Gleyber 2 for 5, a double. Ben Rice, 1 for 3, double walk, 2 RBIs. Austin Wells was on base twice. DJ, 2 for 5, 2 RBIs, a double. Grisham, 2 for 5, 2 RBIs, a double. He's starting to swing the bat well. And Verdugo, a double. Gerrit Cole went 5 innings. We'll talk about him in a second. The bullpen went 4 innings after him. No runs allowed. Tonkin goes 1 2/3, pitched the 6th, and got 2 outs into the 7th. That guy Hill came in after that, pitched the 7th and some of the 8th. And then Juski pitched the ninth inning. Pitched a clean inning in the ninth. So there was that. And yeah, that was game 4. But I want to tip my cap to the starting pitcher of this game, Gerrit Cole. I thought Gerrit Cole deserved it. He was the best starting pitcher in a series where the Yankee starters weren't great. But yeah, in game 4 of this series, Gerrit Cole goes 5 innings, lets up 1 run on 3 hits, a walk. Did hit 2 batters, struck out 6, didn't allow a home run, which was nice, and picked up the deserved win. This was encouraging, you know. It didn't start off encouraging. He was struggling early in the game. The velo was a little low early in the game. The command was bad throughout the entire game. You know, and then you had the second inning scare where I think bottom 1 or top second, somewhere in between innings, you had Juski, who they just called up. He's warming up in the bullpen. And you're like, oh, shit. You're thinking worst case scenario. I'm overreacting on Twitter. You know, I'm like, oh, they should have just given him the Tommy John. I'm like, yeah, it's over. Well, his velo was down. Like, I'm thinking they rushed him back. Turns out, I think they were just giving him work. Would have been nice if Yes Network told us that. But they were just giving him some work. I don't know. Cole came back out there and he pitched 5. And he looked good. You know, the stuff looked good. That was my most important thing. As the game went along, the velocity improved. You know, and I thought the cutter, he was locating that on some good. I thought he was locating the cut fastball well. But the 4-seam fastball, it picked up as the game went along. You saw a lot of 96 miles an hour. You saw a few times where he touched 97, 98. I thought the curveball had good shape. So I thought Gerrit Cole had an encouraging outing. I needed to see something. You know, the one thing I was looking for entering this start was velo and swing and miss, because he didn't have that in his last start. And he did both of that. So, and we got to remember, this is his spring training. He's still ramping up. You know, he missed all of spring training. So and then some, obviously. So this is his camp. So we got to give him some time. He was working with Austin Wells in this game. So that was new. I think he did towards the end of last year too. But good for Cole. This is his first cap tip, his 3rd start, and it went well. Michael Tonkin. I'm going to Michael Tonkin, tipping my cap to him out of the bullpen. He pitched in 2 games this series. He pitched in game 2 and in game 4, so on the 28th and 30th, combining for 3 1/3 innings, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, no walks, 2 hits, a home run, a single, 46 pitches, got a win and a no decision in this series. And he continues to do his thing for the Yankees, you know. They pick this guy off the scrap heap, pick him up off the scrap heap, and they've turned him into a pretty solid reliever. He's got a nice little 2-seam with some arm side run to it. And he's now having a really good season overall. He's 3-3 with a 2.35 ERA. That's his numbers on the season. But with the Yankees, his ERA, I think, sits in the ones. It's 1.23. He's 2-1 with New York. And this is across 29 1/3 innings in 22 games. So he pitches multiple innings for them. 28 strikeouts. Gets some ground balls. Doesn't look the part, but he does the part. So it's his 4th cap tip. Good for Michael Tonkin. And as we tip our caps, I guess we'll go to second base and tip it to Gleyber Torres, who hopefully is turning it around. I don't know. But, you know, was benched for 2 games, the second Mets game and then the first Blue Jays game, but then ended up playing the final 3 games of this series and goes 6 for 13. That's .462 with a 1.198 OPS. Double, home run, 3 RBIs, 2 strikeouts, 3 runs scored, 10 total bases. So that's good to see. Good for Gleyber Torres. And we'll talk about him because the Yankees, this series against the Blue Jays, they got some production from the infield. And that's something they haven't been getting all year. Production from the infield. So I want to talk about that specifically when we return from break here on BD4. episode 694. Stay with us, and we'll be right back after this break.
Hey there, thanks for listening in so far. If you enjoy this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much. You can follow us on social media as well. On Instagram, we're at BD4Pod and at Rob J. Carbone. On X, we're at BD4Pod and at RJCBD4. And on Facebook, we're BD4. If you're interested in our website, just go to www.bd4blog.com. You can subscribe to our blog on there right on the front page. Just like on the podcast, we cover Yankees, Knicks, and MMA. Also on our website are the links to the different platforms for the podcast. Thanks so much.
Welcome back to the show. Episode 694 of BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Welcome back to the show. I appreciate you all tuning in. So yeah, we just talked about Gleyber Torres, and this entire series, the Yankees got some production from their infield, which has been an issue for them all season long. Right? All year, they've lacked from first base to second base to third base. Those have been the three main problems in the batting lineup. But Gleyber Torres, as we just said, responding to the benching, to the Stroman thing pretty well, with 3 consecutive multi-hit games to wrap up this series. Brought the right approach to the plate, base hits to right field. The power showed up too, home runs, doubles. We'll see. That's what I'll say. This is what Gleyber Torres does. He goes on streaks, cold and hot, and some seasons he's good, some seasons he's bad, and he's been bad all year. So I'm not exactly buying this. It is a 3-game sample, folks. You know, there was a stretch earlier in the year where Gleyber was hitting well for like 20-something games, and people were like, "Oh, this is it. This is what he does." It'd be nice, you know, for him to keep hitting from now until the deadline to build that trade value, but we'll see. It's been a rough contract year for him, so can't say I'm optimistic. DJ LeMahieu has been hitting the ball hard, and his swings look a lot better. He got some results this series. You finally got some extra base hits. I think he had 2 doubles. The at-bats look a lot better. Harder hit balls, and he's showing some confidence, showing emotion after getting some of these hits. So that's nice to see. Again, buy or sell, I don't buy this. I personally think DJ LeMahieu is washed up. I think he's done. I think he's been a .250 hitter with no pop for, what are we going on, 3 seasons in a row now? 4? I don't know, 2020. So, yeah. I think it's just a couple good games. It's hard to buy it. But it's good to see. If DJ and Gleyber do this, then we've got no issues. But I don't know that I buy it. I do what I do, you know, I'm optimistic on Ben Rice at first base. You know, I think I don't know if he's going to be a solid player. Like, I don't know if he's going to be a long-term option. You know, is he going to be their first baseman down the stretch of this season in October? I don't know. You know, I'm not saying that. This is an unranked prospect. He's a late bloomer. Didn't start making noise until last year, more this year in the minors. Like, I don't know what he is, but I do know that I like what I see so far. And one of the qualities you want to see from a young player who gets the call to the bigs is what do his at-bats look like? And I really like the quality of Ben Rice's at-bats. They've been very solid. You know, he spit on a 2-strike split changeup, a splitter, whatever Kevin Gausman throws. He gives him a 2-2 splitter, and Ben Rice spits on it, takes a fastball outside the next pitch, I believe, and then he draws a walk. And I thought that was very impressive. That really raised my eyebrows. But his at-bats, ever since getting the call, have been the same thing. He's in control of the strike zone. He hunts strikes, and he doesn't chase. That's what you want from a young player. You know, I don't look at the results right away, but he is getting on base now. He did finally pick up some extra base hits. He has a nice inside left-handed swing. You know, just missed the home run, and that's going to be the question. The question is still out regarding Ben Rice's power. The scouting reports say the power has never been his main strength, which it's going to be important that he has some power if he's going to be their first baseman. Lefty first baseman in Yankee Stadium, you want him to have some power, but it was refreshing to see Ben Rice hit a couple of doubles. You know, we'll see where that goes, because I know the hard hit percentages, that's pretty low on, you go to Baseball Savant, and you know, some other power stuff isn't really great, but we'll see. We'll see what the power looks like. He's yet to hit his first home run, but came close. And the first base defense has not been bad. You know, he's shown skill there. He can do it skill-wise, and it's just going to be learning the position, like IQ stuff. That's been getting to him so far. But I like what I see from Ben Rice. You know, I don't want any platoon. I would like for him to get the reps. Even when Rizzo comes back, please don't play him. Like, the eye test alone is telling you that Rice has already been much better than Anthony Rizzo has been all season. You know, I think it's got to be the end for Anthony Rizzo as a starter. You know, Wally Pip him. Let Ben Rice take his at-bats. And for now, I don't even want to see a platoon. Like, if I see J.D. Davis or DJ LeMahieu getting reps at the cost of Ben Rice, I'm going to flip out. I want to let Ben Rice, let him hit lefties. He's not, I don't like this thing where we condition these young players, like we did this with Austin Wells earlier in the year too, to not see certain pitchers. You can't develop them properly if you ignore challenges. Let him face lefties. Let him get a hold of it. Let him struggle against lefties. He's not going to learn how to hit lefties unless you hit him against lefties. So I don't want to see a platoon. I want to see this kid get everyday reps. He's up. Let him play. You know? But, yeah, these are all important positions. Because the lineup, it can't just be those top three, right? It can't just be Soto, Judge, and then everybody else kind of just question marks, right? Like you look at all these teams, all these lineups, these offenses who make deep postseason runs, they've got at least 4 or 5 guys with OPSs that are above league average. So this is where people, like, I had a comment a few weeks ago, is like, you're not going to get superstars at every spot in the lineup. Like, no, I'm not saying you need superstars everywhere. I'm saying you need above average at some spots. I'm saying you need serviceable, try that again. I'm not saying you need superstars at every spot in the lineup, but I am saying you need serviceable production for most spots. That is a completely different thing. Why don't people understand that? Like, people go to the extremes so much. I'm not saying every spot has to be Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, but I'm also not saying that every spot should be fucking 650 OPS. You got to have some guys who are above average hitters outside of your 2 MVP players. You need a couple more guys who are good hitters, right? Because all you have right now is Soto, Judge, and then a bunch of average to below average hitters. With Stanton on the bench hurt, on the DL hurt, that's what you have. And, you know, I said top 3. Even Volpe has been struggling. Even Anthony Volpe is not really doing his thing right now. For a while, he was included in that discussion of like one of the 3 Yankees who are hitting, but he's not been hitting for a little bit now. And leadoff's kind of becoming a topic around the fan base again. Listen, Volpe's glove is great. He plays great shortstop. Despite the weak arm, he plays a really good shortstop. But he's not been hitting. Really, since that hit streak ended, maybe the on-base streak ended, he's not really been hitting since. The home runs aren't coming. He's not walking, and he's not hitting for power right now. And that's kind of a big no if you're not hitting for average, which he's not been lately. You got to at least have power or get on base with a walk. But he's not working at bats. He's getting a lot of pitches in the strike zone at the leadoff spot because he's got Soto right behind him. So he's not really able to work at bats as much. And so the leadoff numbers don't look good once again. I'm not, my whole thing has been keep the same structure of this lineup. Keep it intact. I hate changing the structure of a lineup. So I'm not saying you move him out. I'm just saying he has to pick it up. I don't know if he can. I don't know what he's capable of, but who else is going to lead off right now? Verdugo's not exactly hot. DJ ain't leading off anymore. That's not who he is. I think you're done with Gleyber Torres there. Ben Rice, you're not going to do that. He's the only guy you got right now. But he's been bad. The swing, maybe he's kind of, I don't know what the numbers say, but it seems like he's kind of back into chase mode and he's kind of maybe uppercutting a little bit with the swing lately. I don't know. But he's an interesting player, man, because he's having a better season, no doubt, than he did last year. Kind of hard not to when you bat 210 and you strike out 180 times, but I don't know. I'm struggling to find out who Anthony Volpe is too. I don't think, and I love the kid. I'm a big fan of the kid. He's one of my favorite players on this team as an Italian-American Jersey kid, right? I met the guy a few weeks ago. Awesome guy. I don't know if he's remember when he was a prospect, when he was first coming up last year, superstar, all-star, next Jeter. I don't know that he's any of that. I think Anthony Volpe might just be a solid shortstop. He's an okay player. Maybe he's got a chance someday to be an all-star here or there. I don't know. I don't think that's him. I think he's a solid player. So I think the expectations are, I don't know, man. Something with these Yankee prospects. The Yankees they get these high-rated prospects and they just never pan out to be what they were rated as. Even like Gleyber Torres. Gary Sanchez. Clint Frazier. A lot of these guys. And I am not grouping Volpe with those bums, but I'm just saying he's one of them who haven't yet looked anything close to what people were hoping. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but at the end of the day, he's got a 700 OPS. Let's be real. He's been fine. Not great. Not close to great. But yeah, point being, it's just Soto and Judge right now. Other guys have to start stepping up consistently. So, if you're asking me, where do I stand? Where do I stand with this Yankees team? I stand in the same spot that I stood after the Dodgers series. I think the Yankees have shown since then that they're a good team that needs upgrades to become a great team. Because I think you look at this roster and you can point out a few problems, right? Like Gleyber Torres is a problem. Anthony Rizzo is a problem. DJ LeMahieu is a problem. Jose Trevino is a problem. I think their bullpen is a big problem. That's key to them. They have to figure out this bullpen. I mean, they can't keep DFAing guys, picking up guys that been DFA. Their bullpen consists of a bunch of DFA'd players. That is not a sustainable formula. So the bullpen's a problem. And then you got question marks, right? You got Verdugo and Volpe as question marks. What are you getting there? I'm a little more optimistic there. I think they'll both figure it out. You got Ben Rice and Austin Wells, question marks as young players. I think they both need everyday reps. You got guys in the rotation like Carlos Rodon and Luis Seal now, question marks. The jury's kind of still out. What's going to happen to Rodon? Is he going to bounce back? Is he going to be a number 2? Is he going to be a guy who pitches like a $160 million guy? Is Luis Seal going to be on the DL soon with a phantom injury to limit his innings? Is he going to be the right guy, the same guy in the second half of the season? Those are question marks. So I think you go into the deadline in a month from now and you look at your needs. I think you need 2 bats. I think you need 2 relievers and maybe a starting pitcher. It sounds like a lot, right? It sounds like too much. But like, whose fault is that? Can't tell me it's not Cashman's fault for going into the offseason and not really addressing as many holes as he probably should have addressed. I really wanted Heimer Candelario at third base, who we're going to see next. I was a big Heimer fan. Didn't really address third base at all because you thought DJ LeMahieu was the answer, which everybody and their mother could have told you he wasn't. Rizzo was a question mark entering the year. They got to make a first base move at the deadline. Is Rice going to show enough between now and the deadline to keep that spot? I don't know. Question mark. 2 bats, 2 relievers, and I'm good. Like Ryan McMahon or Jazz Chisholm, if that's even how you pronounce the kid's name. What's the Marte, Cattell? Like, I need a couple guys in that lineup. But I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying the Yankees suck. I'm not saying the Yankees are imploding. They're fine. It's just a slump. They're going to win 100 games, give or take. They're going to compete for the division. But my concern is, do they have enough to win a World Series? That's all. I'm not bitching on Twitter because of wins and losses. I'm bitching on Twitter because the spots on the roster, there's a lot of holes there. And I'm also holding back my excitement because I need to see the Yankees start beating top competition again. That's also been bothering me. Again, ever since that Dodgers series. And they have 2 key series coming up in this month of July now. We flipped the calendar over to July now. And I think you have Baltimore again coming up in the middle of the month. You're at Camden Yards for 3 games. And then to wrap up the month of July, you're going to Citizens Bank Park to play the Phillies for 3 games. So those are 2 series I have circled because I need to see the Yankees start beating top competition. And they've got 2 prime chances this month too. But aside from that, coming up next, you have a 3-game set against the Cincinnati Reds in the Bronx, back home. That starts tomorrow, Tuesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, with the Thursday game being a getaway day game. But Cincinnati's a pretty bad team. I would hope the Yankees can sweep them, get hot again. They're a weak offensive team. I know they have De La Cruz, who's electric. 40 stolen bases already. 810 OPS, that guy. Jonathan India is a solid player. Heimer Candelario, he's been solid for them. Spencer Steer, young, exciting player, doubles hitter. So they got some guys in that lineup, but overall their offense is pretty below average. Their rotation is pretty mediocre too. You have Luis Heel going up against Ashcraft tomorrow, who's having a bad year. Hopefully I said his name correctly. Then it's Rodon versus Abbott on Wednesday. Abbott's been pretty solid for them. And then Thursday, the day game, Stroman versus former Yankee Frankie Montas, who's been pretty mediocre for the Reds. So I think the strength of their team is their bullpen. They have a top 7 bullpen. It's been pretty solid for them. But that's it. Baltimore lost last night on Sunday Night Baseball. But again, technically the Yankees are still in second by percentage points. But that's that. That's all we have in this one. We'll wrap it up here at 50 minutes. We're going to head to our final break. get back and wrap it up with our trivia. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on BD4. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born.
Thanks for listening to BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion.
All right, welcome back to the show, episode 694 of the podcast. I appreciate you all tuning in. You are listening to BD4. Let's wrap this up with our trivia. Okay. So for this episode of the podcast, episode 694 of BD4, our trivia question: which 1922 Yankee is the only pitcher to win 25 games without throwing a shutout? Which 1922 Yankee is the only pitcher to win 25 games without throwing a shutout? All right, so let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in the next episode. Folks, that's it. I appreciate every one of you for tuning in, for listening, for watching, wherever you are, whatever platform you're listening to this on or watching this on. I appreciate it. Thank you for following along on social media. My Instagram page has been blowing up lately. I appreciate those reels, getting a lot of replies and comments from you guys. Thank you, and likes. Appreciate it, and views, all that stuff. Appreciate those who tune into my Facebook and Twitter posts. I get some traffic on there as well. So thank you all for tuning in and following along with me. I always say, though, don't take me serious on social media. If you want my legitimate opinion, listen to this podcast. Thank you all. I'll see you in the next episode. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you, and we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees, and go Knicks!